Hi team, greetings everyone. In our previous session, we saw how to create a suit and how to execute the suit, right? In our today's session, what we are going to see, we are going to see the concept called as variable set. What is this variable set? If you are asking. So whenever we created this particular suit, right? So we had a variable section and we had this variable set concept. So to show you, I'll just click on this edit button. And here, this is the UI which we got while we create this particular suit, right? And here if you observe, in this variables, we have this project environment variables where we have two options. Use variables from test development and use variables from project environment variable set. The same goes for global variable also. Use variables from test development or use variables from global variable set. So here we are going to discuss about this variable set concept in today's session, right? Now let me go to that presentation. So what is variable set? Let us discuss. So when I say variable set, using same variables but different values for different environments. So here I am going to use the same variables, but I will be changing the value according to the environment. So here, what do you mean by environment? So generally, when it comes to development of the application, right, what environment we will be having? We will be having the development environment where developers will be working on this particular environment in order to develop the application, right? Development of the software will be happening in this particular environment, which is we can call it as server. We will be having a development server where the developers will be working on the development of the application, right? Say for example, the developers are working on build B08, right? Currently, let us assume they are working on B08 and they have built the B08 build, right? Now, if I want to test this build B08, what we have to do? We have to install this particular B08 in a server called as testing server. So that we call it as testing environment. So in the testing server, we will be installing this B08, and in the testing server, test engineers will be testing this build, right? They'll be writing the test cases and they'll be running the test cases manually, and they'll be running the test cases with automation, and they'll be testing this particular build, right? Once after the testing activity is done, this particular B0 build, right, this will be pushed to the pre-production server. So what is this pre-production server? So this pre-production server or environment is for acceptance testing or system testing, right? Say for example, the testing activity is done. Now I want to show that to the customer and I want to show that in the pre-production environment. Pre-production environment is nothing but which is very similar to the production environment, but which has a lesser configuration when compared to production environment, right? So the acceptance testing or the end-to-end testing like system testing is done in this particular pre-production server. So here, if I want to perform the testing in the pre-production server, what I have to do? I have to install this B08 in pre-production server, and then I will be performing the respective testing, right? So once after the customer is saying, okay, the application is good, we can move this application into production server. Then what happens? I will be installing the B08 into production server where end users will start using the application. So these are the different servers we have, right? So starting from development server, testing server, then pre-prod, then prod. So here the same application is traveling between multiple environments, right? So in order to travel means in order to test the application and in order for the end users to use the application, different environments or different servers are involved, right? Now here I have created a suite which is called as smoke testing suite. So I am a test engineer. I will be creating this suite and I'll be adding the test cases. Say for example, I have 200 test cases. In this 200 test cases, all are related to smoke testing. Now, when I run this particular suite, where it is going to run as a test engineer, in which environment I will be working on? I will be working on the test environment. So if I run this particular suite in the test environment, it will run properly, right? Now, if I want to run this smoke testing suite, all the 200 test cases in pre-prod, can I run it? Yes, I can run it, but the difference is when I say different environments, we'll be having different URLs. So these three environments, test environment, pre-prod, prod, are three different servers, right? So in order to access a server, what we need? We need the URL, right? So testing server will be having its own URL. and pre-prod will be having its own URL, and prod will be having its own URL, right? So if I want to run this test cases in the testing server, I want to access the application with the help of this particular URL, https test.google.com. If I want to run the same smoke testing suite, all 200 test cases in pre-prod, what I have to do, I have to change the URL again to preprod.google.com. And if I want to run the same 200 test cases in production environment, again I have to change the URL, right? So this is how different environments will vary with respect to the URL, right? Now I have developed all these 200 test cases in the testing environment, right? So if I normally run this particular smoke testing suite, it will properly run in the test environment without changing the URL. If I run this particular smoke testing suite in the pre-prod, this is going to fail, right? Because in the pre-prod, the URL is different, right? Now, what we can do? So we have a solution here. What I can do, I will create in this particular suite, I'll be adding the test cases, right? In the 200 test cases, obviously I'll be having a global variable, right? That global variable name is URL. So I'll be using this global variable URL in all these 200 test cases, and it will be having the test URL initially. So if I want to run it in the pre-prod, what I will do, I'll change the URL here. If I want to run it in the prod, I will change the URL here. What is going to happen? The same 200 test cases, once after I change the URL according to the environment, it will run properly in the different environments. Okay, now here what is the problem in the sense? If only URL is going to change with respect to 3 different servers or environments, then this we can use. We can change the URL and we can run it in different environments. But if URL is also changing, say for example, username and password is also changing, and a set of 20 data is there, right? These 20 data will be different for test environment, pre-prod environment, and production environment. So when I say 20 different set of data is going to be different for each and every environment, can I change the 20 set of data for each and every environment when I want to run this particular smoke testing route? Right? So if I want to run this in pre-prod, how many data I have to change? 20 data. If I want to run this suite in this production environment, again I have to change how many data? 20 data. So this is a time consuming process. So how to overcome this particular scenario? So for that we have the concept called as variable set, right? Now what I will do, I will go to the smoke testing suite, which is having around 200 test cases, right? Now how many environments I have? 3 environments. One is test environment. What I will do, I will create a variable set of test environment, right? What do you mean by variable set? So here in this particular variable set, what I will be doing, I will be taking the variables which I have used in this 200 test cases. And which variables I will take? The variables which are going to change with respect to the environment. Not all the variables, only the variables which will be changing according to the environment. So I will be creating a variable set for test environment, and I will take only the variables which are going to change according to the environment. So according to the environment, this URL, email ID and password is going to change, right? So what I will do, I will create one variable set with the test environment values. So here if you can see, this URL, email ID and password is the values for test environment, right? Now I want to run this smoke testing suite in a pre-prod environment. What I will do, I will create one more variable set for pre-prod environment. So here I will be using the same variables, URL, email, password, but not the same values. What I will do, I will give a different value. So I will be giving the value of URL in the pre-prod environment, value of email and password in the pre-prod environment. Okay, now if I change the value here, is it going to affect the value in this particular set? No. This is a different set and this is a different set. If I am going to change the value here, this will be applicable only for this particular set. So this changes will not affect my previous set, right? Now, if I want to make one more set for production, what I have to do? I have to create one more variable set for production, and I will take the same variables again, which is URL, email and password. Now I will give the different value with respect to prod environment. So here if you can see, the variables are same. In all the 3 variables set, the variables are same, URL, email and password, but the values are different, and changing these values in different set will not affect the other set, because these changes will be applicable only for this particular set. right? So now I have 3 different sets and I have one suit. So this suit is having 200 test cases. If I want to run this suit in the test environment, what I have to select? I have to select this variable set. So now this URL will take this value, this email will take this value, this password will take this value, right? So this will be running in the test environment. Again, if I want to run this smoke testing suite in the production environment, what I have to do? I have to select this variable set. So now the URL will be taking this particular value. Why? Because I have selected which variable set? Production variable set, right? So if I select this, URL will be taking this particular value and email ID will be taking this particular value and password will be taking this particular value. So this will be running in the production environment, right? So here, without changing the value of the variables, I am able to run the same suite in different environments by selecting the respective variable set. So say for example, you are having 4 different environments. Here, how many variable set you have to create? You have to create 4 different sets. So according to the environment which you want to run, select the variable set and you can run that particular suite in that particular environment, right? So this is called as variable set concept. So now we have seen this theoretically, we will see this practically in the FireFlink platform. Now what I will do, let me just go to the test development section. So in the test development section, if you can see, I have this dummy module, alright? I have created this module as a dummy module. Under this dummy module, I have created one automation script, right? Let me go inside this automation script. So here, once I navigate into the automation script, I'll show you the executions, means I'll show you the steps, right? So here, if you can see, open browser is my first step, maximize browser is my second step, and navigate to URL is my third step, right? Let me just click on this step number 3. And here, if you can see, in the place of URL, I'm using a variable which is called as demo URL, right? Now, let me just click on this edit variable. So once I click on it, if you can see, name of the variable is demo URL and what is the value? https://google.com, right? This is the value and this is the Google website and this is the URL in the production environment, because as a end users, we are using this URL to access the Google application. So what is the environment? So this is the production environment URL. And what is the type of the variable? It is a global variable, right? Now let me just cancel this and let me just cancel this as well. So here, if you can see, I have added 3 steps inside this particular script, verify the URL. And in the third step, I'm using a global variable, right? Now I will add this particular script into one suite and let me show you the variable set concept, right? Let me just go to test execution. So here we already have one suite. What is the suite name? Smoke testing. Now let me create a new suite. I'll just click on this plus suite button. So it is asking me to give the name of the suite. I'll just give it as demo. And let me select the suite type as automation. And here I will select the scripts and modules. So here I am going to select that particular script which I have created under the dummy module. Let me select this and let me just click on select. So if I run this particular suite, how many scripts are going to run? Only this particular script is going to run, right? Now, and this particular script will be running in which environment? In the test, means in the production environment. Why? Because the URL which I have given for the Google application is the production URL, right? Now I will go to variables. So in the project environment variables, I will use the same variables which is from the test development section, since they are default variables, right? Now if I go to global variables, so here I do not want to use the same variables, means variable and value. I want to use the same variable, but I want to give different values with respect to different environment. In that case, what I can do, I can go for use variables from global variable set. I'll select this. So once I select this, what it is asking, create a set. I'll just click on this set plus set. So here it is asking create global variable set, give me the name. So this set I am creating for test environment, right? So I am giving the name as test. And here if I scroll down, I can see all the variables, all the global variables which I have created in the test development section, right? And one among them is demo URL, right? And here if you can see, this is the URL, but this is the URL of production environment. But I am creating this variable set for which environment? Test environment. So let me just assume that this is the test environment URL of Google application. https://test.google.com. So this is the test environment of Google application, right? So in the test environment, the Google URL will be test.google.com. So I have updated the same. Now I'll just click on create. So now I have made changes, right? Is it going to change the demo URL value? No. This changes which I have ever done, it is applicable only for this particular set, test set, right? Now, if I select this particular set, what is going to happen? This script will be running the URL of test.google.com, right? Now I will create one more set. So this is for pre-prod. I'll just give the name as pre-prod. And here also, what is going to change? The URL is going to change. So what I will do, I'll just give it as preprod.google.com, right? Let me just click on create. So if I want to run it in the test environment, what I have to do? I have to select this particular variable set. If I want to run it in the pre-prod, I have to select this particular variable set. So what is the difference between these two variable sets? The URL which I have changed. So you can ask me, you want to change only URL. Say for example, I want to change username and password. Same, the username and password variable should be available in this test development section, and you can change the value for those username and password as well here, right? Now I am changing only the URL. So I have created two different sets. One is for test environment, one is for pre-prod. So now if I want to create for prod, so no need to create a prod environment. Instead of creating a prod environment, what I will do, I will say use variables from test development. What happens when I use this? It will take the URL value from the test development only. In the test development, already we have the URL value of prod environment, right? So only I am not creating a prod environment here. I am creating only two different variable set. One is for test, one is for pre-prod, right? Now I want to run this in the pre-prod. So what I have to do, I have to select this particular set. So I have to select this, and now the variable set concept is selected, right? I have selected the pre-prod. In the same fashion, when I go for test data set, in the test data set also we have what? Use test data from test data set. So if I select this, what is going to ask me? It is going to ask me to add the set. I'll just click on this plus data set, and here if you can see, it is asking me the name of that particular set. So this I want to keep it for test environment. And again, if you can see, this is the folder, means this is the folder which is present in the test data section. Once I expand it, see, these are the two Excel files which I have in the test development, means test data section. So if I want to change the value, say for example, I want to change the value which is present in the credential, right? And it should not affect the actual test data section, right? So in that case, I am creating a data set and I want to replace the value of this particular credential, right? So what I can do, I'll be having a edit icon. Let me show you. See, I'll be having this replace icon, right? So what I have to do, I have to change the value in the credential Excel file. So I'll go to my local machine. I will change the values in the Excel file, and that Excel file I will replace with this particular Excel file. I'll just click on replace, and I will take the Excel file which is updated and I will click on open. What is going to happen? The updated information will be reflecting only in this particular set which I am creating. That will not affect the actual test data section, right? If I change the value in the test data set, it is applicable only for this particular test data set, right? So this is how we can create test data set for test data also, for data driven testing, right? I'll just click on close. Now, as of now, what I will do, I'll go with the test data set from the test development, which will take the values from the test development test data section only. If I want to create new values, what I have to do, I have to go for set concept, right? So as of now, I'll go with the same data which is present in the test development, right? Now, since I have gone for this, it will not allow me to edit or delete anything, right? So here I have selected it, and here I have to, of course, I have to give the execution settings. So I'll be selecting single machine. In that single machine, I'll be selecting my own machine for execution. Select it. And other settings, let me keep it as the default one. I don't want to change anything. So in the email configuration also, it is not mandatory. If I want to give, I can give it, or if I don't want, I can ignore this, right? Now, since I have given all the required details, so I'll just give delay between steps around 2 seconds so that we can see the execution properly, right? Now, I'll just click on create. The suit is created, but this suit I have created with a particular variable set. right? Let me show you. I'll just click on this edit button, and here if I scroll down in the variables, in the global variable, I have selected what? Preprod environment. Now what value it should take for the URL? It should take preprod.google.com, right? I'll just cancel this. Now let me run this. Okay, I'll just click on run button, and same settings, I'll just click on directly run. So it is saying awaiting client status. See, the browser is already launched. Can you see here what is the URL it is taking? Preprod.google, right? Because what is the variable set I have selected? I have selected the preprod variable set, right? So it is taking what URL? preprod.google.com, right? Now let me close this. So here if I seek the status, obviously it will be failed. Why? Because that's not a proper URL, right? Now let me go to the same suite. Now again I will edit this. In the editing, I'll just go to variables, I'll go to global variable. So now this time I will select test environment, right? I'll just click on update. So now let me run this once again. Click on run button. I want to run in the same settings. I'll just click on run. See, it is saying initializing execution. We need to wait for the execution to be triggered. I'll just sync the status once. Still it is in initializing execution. We have to wait for the execution to be triggered. See, the execution is already triggered. I'll just show you the browser. See, this time what is the URL it is taking? test.google.com, right? Did I change any value? No, right? I was changing only the variable set. Once I change the variable set, what it is taking that particular value of the URL, right? Now I'll just close this. Let me just refresh this page. If you can see, this particular execution is also it's failing. Why? Because again the URL is wrong, right? I'll just go to test execution. Now this time I'll just click on edit. Now this time what I will do, I will go to variables and I will go to global variable. So here instead of selecting the variable set, I want to run this particular script in the production environment. So what I will do, I'll use variables from test development, because this particular test development is having the URL of the production environment, right? So here if you scroll down, you will be able to see the variable also. See demo URL https google.com. I have selected this particular radio button, right? I'll just click on update. See, the script means the suite is updated. Now I will just click on run button. I will select the same execution settings. Let me just click on run. This time it will navigate to the proper Google application, since the URL I have given in the production environment, right? So it is saying initializing execution. Let me just sync the status once. So it is still in the initializing execution. We have to wait for the execution to be triggered. See, the browser is already open. Let me show you. See, now it is navigating to the Google application properly. Inside the suite, did I change any of the value of that particular demo variable, demo URL variable? No, right? I'm just changing the variable set. The same demo URL is taking different values according to the variable set which I'm selecting, right? So the same suite which we are seeing, right, in the test execution, the same suite which we are seeing can be run in different environments with the help of what? With the help of variable set concept, right? So this is how we can run the same suite in different environments without changing any data with the help of variable set concept. So in today's session, we have in detail discussed about the variable set concept. We will see the next concept in our next session. Thank you.